I get out my Milwaukee Max Fuel 3/8 impact and I can run that bitch in. Cross thread is
and I start her up. Oh man. So I remember I just have this whenever I think of Calhouns and partying, especially looking at both of you guys right now.
Because they go together.
I remember you we were standing out on the front porch.
There's two of us.
Wait, I don't know which side you guys are on.
Well, I'm on the bottom as I'm looking at it, so.
All right. You.
I can't tell.
It was pointing at me, so I don't know. This is a fuzzy memory. Could have been anybody.
I remember
should
you
we have pixelated faces?
Puking vodka. Yeah, outside.
Yeah,
just like, all right, I'm good.
That would have been Brian.
Yeah, that was me.
And then I remember you having Guinness when you would open them and they had the ball inside there. That's the first time I ever saw that. I don't know, maybe that's why I remember it.
And he drank with his pinky out.
Yes, I'm so sophisticated.
Yeah, I was definitely the king of the puking rally because I would chug too much beer and then the foam would happen.
Oh.
And it was unpleasant. Very unpleasant.
We went skiing once, one weekend. Didn't either of you guys go with at Calhoun?
We went to Steamboat.
We went up to Snowy Range is the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, I did not do that. I went to Steamboat with the school and
pretty cool.
Alex Gonzalez. So my mom got me a snowboard for Christmas before we moved to Wyoming, which is awesome. A nice snowboard. I still have it. I've only used it once. But I had never really done it. And then everybody is like, oh, we're going up to this, whatever it was, some ridiculous blue whatever. And I had never used my snowboard before. They're like, Andrew, come with us. Sure, why not? And I spent the entire day on my ass. and Alex spent the whole day with me. And he was a true friend. And because he was a surfer, right? Yeah. He could have done the whole thing with his eyes closed and wouldn't have been a deal. Wouldn't have been a big deal. But everybody else went down, had a good time. But he sacrificed his day and he spent the rest of the time with me, making sure I was okay. Because I could go straight and fast really well, but then I couldn't stop or turn. Yeah. So I usually just went head over heels and ate it. And he'd stay and make sure I was all right. And he's just a really, really great friend. And that was at the one day we went to Steamboat Springs. It was a great time. Had a lot of fun with him. I was incredibly sore the next day, and I've not gone snowboarding since then. I'd like to, but just a really, really great guy. Great memory.
Alex was always awesome. He always took care of people.
Yep. Still is.
Yep. Well, yeah. I just haven't seen him in 13 years. Alex, go to Colorado.
I tried snowboarding once, and I couldn't even stand up on it because I'm used to being able to move both my feet. And then I couldn't even get the long skis. I had to get the snow blades. They're like short skis. But I was good with those, but the long ones were too long. I kept getting like the backs of them stuck when I was trying to turn. I was going to say something else, and I don't remember what it was.
That's okay.
I don't remember either, Corey.
So, Brian, you have a Colorado now.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like you have to change your name because you're not that damn Jeep guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on that. See, nobody sees that but you guys. So at the time,
I've had some weird cars, and I want to see if you guys can top me.
What do you mean?
I've had some strange ones. So okay, let me give you my list. My first car, not weird. I had a 2000 Honda Civic that I totaled within a month of having it. Drove into a grove of palm trees, and yep, totaled it. It was done. Walked away. We're all good. My next car was a '99 4Runner that I had all through Wyotech.
Yeah, I remember.
Probably the best car I've ever owned. And called it Bertha. I name all my cars. That was Bertha. put 100,000 miles on it. I bought it at 100,000, so I got to 200,000. Then I decided to replace the head gasket for some reason, and I dropped a valve. That's what it was.
Oh.
So had the head done, replaced the head gasket, and I did it poorly and ended up pushing oil out the front cover and sold it to some guy who shipped it to South America. So it's probably still running drugs somewhere.
Oh yeah, definitely. Or people.
I had
people.
Yeah. Had my 85 Mazda RX-7 that I bought for $150 that I drove 100 miles maybe. Had a 78 Toyota Corolla that I bought for $400. Had 42,000 miles on it. And I drove for probably 2.5 years. And I sold for $2,000.
Wow.
And that was a fun little car. It was blue with a blue vinyl interior. It was blue. Everything was blue. And I swapped in AE86 front suspension on it, and had those particular years had what's called a 2TC, which is a 1.6 liter Hemi head 4-cylinder. Really cool little engine. And then
you made a drift car out of it?
Huh?
You made drift car?
Yeah.
You were Tokyo drifted?
Yeah. It was an automatic. It was a 3-speed automatic. But I got like 35 miles a gallon and it only cost me $400. So, you can't argue with that.
That logic is hard to beat.
Yeah, and I sold it for $2,000. So, and then I had a 54 Chevy 210 4-door, straight 6 with a 3 on the tree that I drove as my daily driver for, what do you mean? What are you shaking your head?
I don't have anything that cool.
Drove that for 2.5 years and ended up having to sell that because it was leaking every fluid imaginable, which was coolant and oil. And didn't have any air conditioning or seatbelts, and I was doing real estate at the time, so my clients didn't appreciate that so much.
Hey.
So sold that one and bought my 99 BMW convertible, which
That's very good for someone in real estate. It's high.
So I bought it, had 65,000 miles on it. It was a little cream puff. Had been in Florida its whole life. Dealer service history, the whole deal. And I bought it and started driving it, and it immediately started to fall apart.
Yeah, you had a lot of trouble with that car.
Yeah, I have. But I still drive it every day. I get 20 miles a gallon. It's paid for. The top doesn't work. The control arms I've replaced 3 times. The interior is falling apart. Brake lights don't work. The check engine light is perpetually on. The airbag lights are on. And, it's a BMW.
Sounds like BMW. Does it smell like crayons?
It does. It does.
Yeah. Okay.
All German cars of that vintage smell like crayons.
It's so weird.
I have learned it's the glue that they use.
Okay.
To secure the interiors. So the Volkswagens, the BMWs, the Mercedes in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s all smell like crayons. That's the glue.
I'll have to smell my car
Volvo too.
If I ever get it back.
Your car is new enough, Corey. It shouldn't smell like crayons. It was just like the older style interior reason. Yours is not plastic. It should be okay.
Oh, fine.
Yeah, and for some reason, despite everything that's wrong with my car, I still like it for some reason. I don't know.
Well, you're mentally challenged. It's okay.
I like rotaries, so it says something.
It says
Roger, do you guys have seen Gone in 60 Seconds?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for confirming that you're at least somewhat car guys there.
Which Gone in 60 Seconds, though?
Ooh, come on. Okay, so yes, the Nicolas Cage version.
Okay.
My alter ego is Roger.
My name is Roger, sir. May I be of some help?
That's funny. My name's Roger.
Roger.
I haven't seen it in so many years. Is that
The one in
Champagne will fall from the heavens.
Champagne would fall from the heavens, doors would open, velvet ropes would part.
Saturday night is the loneliest night for me.
I'm not on anybody's A-list, and Saturday night is the loneliest night of the week for me. Now, if I was driving a 1967 275 GTB 4K.
Oh.
Two Rogers don't make it right.
Yeah.
Right. That's my alter ego. So I bought the BMW, and I was like, okay, we're going to call it Roger, because it's kind of fancy, but, whatever, it's still me. Yeah, so that's Roger.
Nice.
And one of my cars. And then I bought a 2012 Subaru Impreza, brand new. That was my wife's car. It was a
nice.
5-speed hatchback with a roof rack. Probably, honestly, the best car I've ever owned. And then now I have a van.
Ugh.
Yes, bought a van.
Minivan?
A minivan. We traded in the Subaru on a Honda Odyssey. And I was a huge skeptic until we bought the van.
No. Please don't say it. No.
But it has everything, and it's so nice. It is so nice. I'm not gonna lie, there are nights I just want to take the middle seats out and go sit in the third row and watch a movie by myself.
Y'all make just having kids make it sound like so much fun. I'm getting a minivan and no money and
Hey, I have a convertible.
I had a convertible when I was 17, and
converted.
I've never had another one.
My convertible does not work, but I have a convertible.
It doesn't count if it doesn't work, I think, at that point.
I can put it down, but I think the next time that I put the top down, it's not going to go back up. So I'm not going to.
So it's a soft top coupe.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, I think
I got windows on my
next
truck,
car,
but that doesn't mean they work. Sorry.
I think my next car is going to be a current generation WRX or an STI. I'm really. I think it's time for a grown-up car. I don't know if you can call an STI a grown-up car, but.
Well, mine is the 2012 Golf R Volkswagen.
Yeah, that's a sweet car.
Yeah,
you can never get the engine replaced.
When it has an engine. Well, I had a GTI, and then I didn't know that the R even existed, and then when I found that out, I had to get one.
And the GTI ran.
Yeah, the GTI was great. The only problem I had on that is the coils started going out one at a time, but that was covered under the warranty. I just had to take
One of these days, someday I'm going to buy a Highline car, like European, whatever, and I'm going to buy the most expensive warranty they offer, and I'm going to use the shit out of it.
Like,
read the contract.
The warranty.
Thanks to the industry that I'm in, I know how they work, and I will just abuse them. And I'll make sure that I have rental car coverage and all this fun stuff, and I will make them pay for everything. That's my plan.
I just got a shit warranty.
Or I got hosed.
I always feel bad when people bring me cars and they're like, I've got a aftermarket warranty. Do you guys work with them? I'm like, yeah. But can you leave your car with me for like 3 days? They're like, no. It's like, well, then, if you want to pay for it up front, then maybe they'll reimburse you. Otherwise, I can work with the warranty company, but, it's kind of on their time frame.
Yeah.
The thing that drives me nuts about these aftermarket warranty companies, right, is so I submit all the information they need. I got the invoice, they've approved the work, they've done everything, and they're like, we want a final invoice before we release payment. Like, I can't give you an invoice. Well, why not? Because a final invoice means that there's been payment.
Yep.
So you're asking me to give you a final invoice before you release payment? Yes. No, I can't do that. Well, you need to do that. No, we're not going to do that. So we're at an impasse. So let's figure it out.
Yeah.
We always end up figuring it out. There's just a pain in the ass. They do everything they can to make sure that they don't have to cover. Like I've had to deal with some where they want to send an inspector out.
Oh yeah, they did
verify,
that.
To verify. Like I recommended struts on a car. Like the tires were cupped to shit. And like 130,000 miles on the car. It's like, there's no external leak on these struts. Your tires say that your struts are horrible, but there's nothing external. They're like, well, we want to send an inspector. Okay. Inspector comes out like, well, there's no external sign of the struts. We're not covering it. Like, so this is what happens. Let me give you a little bit of information and an education on what a strut does.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, you know what really drives me nuts is I've got my flipping tire manager. Every time I've got a technician who recommends struts or tires based on cupping wear, he's like, oh, you just need to rotate your tires. You don't. You don't. I mean, that'll help, but you need struts.
Yeah.
Struts don't cause cupping. They do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Brian's got a dog issue.
Your tires will tell you exactly what's going on with your alignment.
I know.
Suspension.
Every time.
Dogs, come here.
Every time. It drives me nuts. Tire struts don't cause cupping wear. That's just tire rotation. It's only got 60,000 miles on it. Well, is it a Hyundai? Yes, it is. Well, then you need rear shock absorbers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hyundais and Kias. God, the stories I could tell. I'll tell you what. One of the hardest lessons I'm learning. So, okay, just some backstory. I've been in retail, just retail, for 16 years now, right? My first job in high school was at a drugstore. I was in drugstores for a long time. I've been an assistant manager in retail for probably, 15 of those 16 years. This is my first time as a store manager, so I've been doing this now for a year. The hardest lesson I've had to learn is to hold people accountable and to say, hey, this is your job, you've got to do it, and to really hold them to it. Because I'm a nice guy. I don't like to say, hey, you have to go do this now. I expect people do things on their own, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Unfortunately, experience says otherwise. People don't do that.
Nope.
So kind of sucks. And as you know, I broke the seal about 30 minutes ago. I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's probably why I didn't get that manager job at Frontier, is because Chad's was more like, I don't know.
Good job.
He was better at telling people what to do. I'm not good at going up to someone and say, hey, you have to do this. Well,
especially in my brief experience, it's really hard to walk up to somebody when you got to tell them that they do something that sucks. You're like, you need to go do this, and to find a way to say that without them taking it the wrong way or being upset, being frustrated, but also like, yeah, you're doing this. There's no getting around this. You're doing it.
Yeah. You need to go do this thing that sucks really bad that you don't want to do and no one else wants to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not good at that. Or you fuck this up, go fix it.
That's the hard one, when something gets fucked up, like he was saying. Oh, he's back. Hey. When somebody screws something up majorly and you have to go up to them and tell them you're fixing this, and they go ballistic, that's a tough spot to be in.
I was a bad kid, so I got to go work with this mechanic in high school in our town.
Damn degenerate.
And he worked out of his garage at his house, and he was like the only mechanic in town. But the only way he'd put a spark plug in is he would put a piece of vacuum tube on the end of it and do it that way. And if it didn't go in, it
doesn't go in.
Yeah.
Keep fiddling with it till it goes in. That's me, because I don't want to put a head on something.
I'll do it. I'll do it with my fingers with an extension on the socket, because I can feel if it's going in. I'm not going to cross thread it, with my fingers.
I get out my Milwaukee Max Fuel 3/8 impact, and I can run that bitch in.
And I start her up. Oh man! Oh, did you guys watch the duels yesterday? Wait, Thursday? Yeah, yesterday.
I don't have TV.
I don't either. I watched it on someone else's account. What?
You saw, we were watching on the last video the end of the Clash.
The Clash.
I finally watched that this week. That was awesome.
I didn't watch it. Someone told me like only 3 cars finished.
We were watching it live on the podcast.
Yeah, there were 3 laps left. I didn't watch the end of it.
Oh, jeez. Come on, guy. You live in Mooresville, North Carolina, and you don't watch NASCAR?
I don't. I know. It's horrible.
You work
it's
like
terrible.
right next to the Speedway.
One of my friends is a retired driver, too.
Wait.
I don't.
Drop his name. Name drop.
JP. He did like he wasn't spring or Nextel anything like that. He raced professionally, but not in the big show.
Cool.
Danica Patrick has come into my wife's Outback. They're all here, man.
Yeah,
They're
they're
all
just
here.
like Joe down the street.
Yeah, basically. But no, I've never been big into NASCAR, which is really kind of ironic that I live in Race City, USA. Literally. I told my uncle that I was moving to Mooresville, and he's like, "You're moving to Mooresville?" Yes. Should that be, should I be excited about that? And the more I learned about it, it's really cool to be in and around all this. Like the Concord Airport is right next to Roush Yates Racing. And I took my mom to the airport the other day, and I'm pretty sure Jack Roush was standing out front because I saw him standing out with his hat.
His hat. He's always got his hat on.
Yeah.
Oh man, I saw him at Chicago. The first race I went to was in Chicago in 2017, and we won. And I was standing behind the pit boxes, and
On his birthday.
On my birthday and my parents' anniversary at the same time. But my parents were there, and we were standing up against the fence behind the pit boxes, letting people walk by. And there's a guy standing next to me, and this old guy walks by with a straw hat on. And the guy's like, "Hey, Jack Roush! That's Jack Roush!" I mean, he was like right here from me, but he didn't. He just acted like he didn't hear a damn thing. He doesn't want to talk to anybody.
Of course he did.
He probably didn't actually hear it. He's like 120 years old.
The first time I saw Jack Roush was actually in Daytona. My brother and I used to go up to the 24 Hours of Daytona, the Rolex 24 Hours every year. We did it for about 5 years straight.
Wow.
We'd camp in the infield for, the ticket was like $110.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And it was awesome, man. We'd bring a tent and you camp in the infield, and it gives you access to everything except the hot pits. So we'd go down into the garages for the 24-hour race, and we're hanging out. And it's like, oh, hey, there's Jack Roush. You go out in the middle of the night, and you're hanging out with the teams, the race teams, and the mechanics and everybody. And then all of a sudden, the car comes in for an engine swap or a diff swap or something, and everybody just goes into work. Yep. And it was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done. And that was the first time I saw Jack Roush. My brother is like walking around one of the Mustangs, and he's just standing there. I'm like, oh, that's Jack Roush.
Oh, hey man.
So yeah, it's weird to be here, right in the middle of everything. Like I was driving around one day, and I heard some engines, and I looked around, and there's one of the race teams doing pit stop practices.
Yeah.
The drivers are all over the place, and like the thing that's mind-boggling. I was like, I've always been a car guy my entire life, and I've always been around people who are like, oh, Andrew knows cars. But the collective knowledge in this area, it's generational, right? So like NASCAR got to start in bootlegging, and those families are still here. So the collective hot rodding and racing knowledge, it's staggering. Like,
well, the amazing thing,
I am a little fish in the ocean.
In that area, the knowledge base is not just guys hot rodding. It started out as that, but then they started competing and testing those ideas. Not just, it feels faster. No, they put it on the track and went head to head and tested their changes, and we're like, this is faster. This is 0.2 of a second faster. So it's not just hot rodding, not just California cool car culture. It's performance.
It's performance at the highest level. And it's so cool to me. They're like, I drive down the street with the main street in Mooresville is Plaza, and all, you know, the Target and the Walmart and everything is down there. And the NASCAR Hall of Fame is like right off of that. We've got race shops. And
why did I not see that? I stayed at a hotel right off the interstate there in Mooresville.
It's all here.
The NASCAR Hall of Fame is actually in Charlotte, isn't it?
No, I'm sorry, but there is some NASCAR. The main NASCAR Hall of Fame is in Charlotte, but we've got race shops, and there's another.
There are museums.
There's some other stuff
everywhere
in Mooresville, like downtown Mooresville. They've got the Walk of Fame with the driver's stars and stuff on the road. You know, when I was working at the Concord Mills Firestone, I would drive past DEI, Dale Earnhardt Enterprises, every day on Highway 3. Every morning I drive past it. That's
Highway
right,
3.
Yep. You know, Dale Earnhardt's from Kannapolis.
Yep, there's a statue of him in Kannapolis. It's amazing.
Yep, I've seen it. It is very cool. I'm not a big NASCAR fan, but Dale Earnhardt was my favorite growing up. I watched the race. I was watching when he died, and I thought it was the coolest thing to watch him, if anybody remembers, to watch him block for Juparo, because he was blocking everybody behind him to let his son win that race. And that's when he went into the wall.
So I just this week watched Michael Waltrip's documentary called Blink of an Eye, and it's on Motor Trend on demand right now.
Okay.
And it talks about that, and it shows it 100 times. It talks about the whole event and Michael Waltrip's history and the history of the event and what happened. I was also watching that race. I remember exactly where I was, what I was doing, where I was standing. I was in public. I was at a mall, so I wasn't at home. I was watching it at a Radio Shack, and they talk about it in such great detail. And if you get the chance, if you were a Dale Earnhardt fan, give that a watch. If you do the Motor Trend app, it is awesome. It is an awesome film.
It was so cool to watch race. Like, you know, he earned the nickname Intimidator. Like, he just there was nothing else like it. Nobody else drove like him, and it was just it made me want to watch the sport. You know, you look at it and think, oh, it's just a lot of cars going left and left and left and left, but to watch him race and to watch him block and to watch him move his way through the pack and get to the front and lead and hold people back, and it was just, nobody does it like him.
No, it was awesome.
It really was.
All the stuff that I saw in the modern racing in 2017 and 2018, it's nothing like that. Like it used to be back then. Like I was watching the duels, and nobody can even pass. If you try to pass and you get out of line, then you're just sucked up and you're done. You're in the back. Yeah. It's like you can't even race anymore unless it's a road course or a good downforce track that you can actually make a move or something. But speedway,
they are fixing that, and it's getting better. I didn't watch NASCAR from the time when we went to Iotech until the last year or two when Corey started working at Furniture Row. Then I started picking it up a little bit, and now I watch it more. I listen to the Dale Jr. Download. It's a podcast, which is awesome. They tell a lot of cool stories about Dale Sr., and it's Dale Jr. He can get anybody he wants in there. Like, they had Humpy Wheeler on this week. It's awesome. Humpy Wheeler, like, telling stories of all the crazy shit he's done.
That's awesome.
Races back in the day. He's had Richard Petty, he's had Michael Waltrip, he's had John. I mean, you name it, he's been on there. It's amazing. Yeah. The Pettys, Richard Petty, yeah, that was awesome. And that has opened my eyes to a lot of what's going on, because they talk about everything. And then Door Bumper Clear, which is another podcast they do over there at Junior Motorsports, JR Motorsports, and
which is again right next to NASCAR Tech, which is right around the corner from where I live.
Yeah,
which is weird.
Yeah, so I listen to a podcast every week during the NASCAR season that's filmed like within a couple miles of you.
Yeah,
several of them.
Basically. Yeah, they're all right here. It's all right here.
So I don't know if you how closely paid attention. Did you say you watched the duels, Brian?
No.
No. Oh.
I don't have television. I have an antenna.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, so the 95 car
I'm
this year is the new team that's partnered with Joe Gibbs. So it was Furniture Row. We were partnered with Joe Gibbs. So now the 95 Levine Family Racing is. And my manager from the body shop works over there now. He's been there for a few years. But they brought in, so they're like the new Furniture Row, and they brought in Christopher Bell from the Xfinity series, who was driving the 20 and Xfinity for Joe Gibbs. So they're the new Furniture Row. They shut us down, and they're going to do the same thing with them. But the 95 looked a lot better than it has in the last few years. He was running up in like 4th place for a while. But
pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know if that means anything to you, but it's kind of exciting because my friend works there.
Very exciting for me.
You want to get back into it, Corey?
If I would love to. I'd love to do something like that. If I lived out there, I would have been in one of them by now. But
yeah, I think you would have been Joe Gibbs for the last 2 years if you would have gone right with him.
The kid's her daughter's only 13, and I don't know what year she can leave her, but she's still going to have to leave her. Either bring her along, or maybe if she goes and does her own thing, then we can move. I don't know, but I mean, by that time, that's 5 years. If it's 18, I'll be like 39. Man, I don't know.
Don't say that. Don't say that out loud again. Don't do that.
I may be 30. I may be 34, but I'm the youngest guy you know.
Well, let me ask you this: What's the future in NASCAR? What's going on?
I don't know. Ever since I didn't have a car in there anymore, which was 2018 was when we closed. I watched 2019 just to kind of keep up on what was happening in case I got a job.
Yeah.
And I've watched the duels. I mean, the season's starting right now. Sunday is Daytona. I'd love to do it, but I don't know. There's nothing here anymore. Furniture Row is the only thing here. As far as racing or anything.
I have a concern about auto racing in general. I think it's on the decline. I think it's too expensive, and I think younger millennials and the whatever Zennials or whatever the hell the younger generation is, I think they have no interest.
Yeah.
And I think the automotive sports, the automotive passion, the customizing, all that fun stuff, I'm concerned that it's at its end. And I don't think it's something that's going to happen overnight. I think it'll, phase out over our lifetimes. It's not something that's going to happen quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's something that there's no passion for it. There's nobody coming up in large numbers that's passionate about it the way we were.
Yeah.
Well, think about cars. Like now there's some good cars, but think about when you were like.
Yeah, but you just go down to the store and you drive one. Like the cars that are coming out of the manufacturers are as good as they've ever been. They've never been this good. But you just go and you write a check and you have one.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to do to it.
Now, they're not. Honestly, like, when's the last time you walked into an attainable vehicle and were like, wow, that is gorgeous, or it has the performance, or honestly, I walk into the dealership and I'm like,
it's an appliance. Yeah. Because that's what consumers want is an appliance. Basic transportation, A to B.
The green
one? They don't care. It doesn't need to make them feel anyway. Yeah. It's no different than their washing machine.
Like, I love my truck, but when I found it, I like the application of it, but it doesn't. There's nothing about the style that I'm like, wow, that's a good looking vehicle. I'm like, yeah, it works. It does what I need it to do. It drives nice, has a good warranty. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's why I got the Golf R. I was thinking about this the other day. Is I've always been looking at rare vehicles. Like I had the Roush Mustang, and then now the Golf R. That's why the engine is so expensive. They only made that car at 2012 and 13, and then like 15, and then 2019. Yep. They don't make them every year. They can't get parts for the engine. You have to get a reman.
Well, I love the way the new Challengers. I think they look good. They're getting a little dated, but they've been out for a while.
Have you driven one?
Yeah. I drove one at SGS on the dyno.
They got a big motor. That's about it.
They're terrible.
Yeah. But I can't get a Hellcat.
Just like they were in the 60s and 70s. They're terrible.
Yeah, but the car that does it for you is the Hellcat, or at least the 392. And I can't get a 392 and go play in it, and it's
thank you. Yeah, so here's the thing about the Hellcat. I drove a Hellcat. We do alignments for a dealership, and they brought me a Hellcat. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, I'm the store manager. I'm gonna go make sure this alignment is done right, and took it for test drive. Perks of the job, right? Huge engine, makes a fun noise, but you can't use it ever anywhere. Yeah. Safely. Like, and I understand people are going to do things and whatever, and it's fun if you want to go do drag racing and half mile or mile racing and whatever. But in my opinion, if you're going to buy a car, which is the second most expensive thing that most people will ever buy, it should be fun all the time.
Yes.
And I think most of these cars are too fast to enjoy. Mm-hmm. I know it's probably an unpopular opinion and blah, 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 whatever. I don't care. But I think that's why the Miata was so popular for so long. Is because driving slow cars fast is fun.
Yes.
If you've got a car that you can drive at 9/10 all the time versus a car that you can only drive at 3/10 most of the time and have to go spend insane amount of money for track passes or go out to a test and tune night to maybe be able to use it at 9/10. Because if you're not a professionally trained driver, you're not going to drive it at 10/10. It's very hard for me to justify something like that. And honestly, I think that's probably why I like my BMW, because it's fun at slow speeds. It's fun at street speeds. My brother had a Miata. The car was a riot. It was slow, but it was lightning quick responsiveness, and it was fun. And I think that's missing from cars now.
More fun in cars with less than 150 horsepower than I have in cars with more than 700 horsepower.
Yep.
And I've driven both. I've driven them all. I've built them.
Unless you're on a track, unless you're someplace where you have the space to use it, you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, even with my Golf, I'm only like first, second, and then third, and then I'm going 70.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
my father-in-law had a 997 Porsche Turbo, and I got to drive that through the hills of Georgia, and it was a lot of fun. But I could only ever put the pedal down for, a couple tenths of a second at a time. I never got to use the full power. And I'm like, I would much rather have a naturally aspirated whatever and be able to run through the gears and enjoy it than know that I've got 500 horsepower behind me and not be able to ever use it.
That's what got me into four-wheeling, especially here in Colorado. You don't use all the power. You go slow and you use the suspension, and I can still drive 8/10. I'm not flooring it, but I'm still using the vehicle for fun and not just A to B.
Right. And I think that's what's missing is the boomers are buying the big cars.
Yeah.
And they've got the money to buy it, and that's the market that it's catering to them. In our generation and younger who are buying cars are in a situation where they can't afford to buy things that are fun. If they're buying anything, it's got a utilitarian purpose, and that's it. So unfortunately, it's kind of reactionary, where the manufacturers are they're going to build what sells, and what's selling right now is transportation, cheap transportation. So it's kind of like the 70s all over again, but for a different reason. And I'm concerned this one's maybe a little bit more permanent. However, I'm personally getting to the point, I see a lot of cars. So the average car that we see is anywhere from 10 to 12 years old, and 115 to 120,000 miles. So we've got a pretty good lead time on what comes out from the manufacturer versus what we see.
Yeah.
So we've got time to adapt and respond to what's going on in the market. Obviously, we've got the electrification of the market going on right now. Ford did away with everything except for a couple cars, and they're going heavy electric. But I'm honestly to the point now where I look at these cars with gas engines, with iron brakes, with manual transmissions, and I kind of look at it and I go, this stuff is old. It is really old. It's fun, but it's old technology. And I mean, back when I was a service manager, I was in a meeting, and our regional manager asked the question of all the service managers. He said, how many of you think cars have changed a lot over the last 50 years? Like, everybody in the room raised their hand. They're so much different, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, how many of you think cars have basically stayed the same? And I first hand up. They haven't changed. And he's like, you're right. Cars have not changed, basically. Steering, suspension, brakes, engines, they're basically the same.
Yeah.
We've had some advances in traction control and dynamics and blah, 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 but the systems are the same. And even if when we look at Tesla and Porsche and GM and what they're, and Honda, what they're all doing with the hybrids and electrics, and it's like your drivetrains are changing, steering, suspension, tires is still the same. Like, this is all 100-year-old technology at this point. It's just old. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe it's because I'm seeing all these cars all the time, but I just feel like a lot of these cars I look at, I see a tractor, and it's basically the same.
It is, yeah, it is old. I listened to a podcast the other day. It's an artificial intelligence podcast, and they had Elon Musk on there, and he was just like, oh man, you got to listen to it. I love listening to this guy talk. He just says so much stuff that makes sense that you never thought about before. But he's like,
I want to grow up to be Elon Musk.
Yeah, I know.
I wish I was that smart.
He was talking about how we're going to get to a point soon in the future where we're going to look back and go, I don't believe that humans were ever allowed to drive these 2-ton death machines, and they could drive them anywhere you wanted to go, you could go. He said, even right now, the self-driving, the autopilot in the Teslas is safer than a human driver. And for you to take over is less safe than letting the car do what it's going to do.
Huh.
And it was like the end of last year so it was a little bit older. Man, just to hear.
But the problem with that, though? The problem with that is when something does go wrong, who's responsible?
Yeah.
See, when you've got a person driving and a person makes a mistake, that person is responsible. But when you have a car driving itself, a self-driving autonomous vehicle, and it makes a mistake and kills somebody, who's responsible?
Yeah, he talked about that quite a bit too, and he said if there's 40,000 automotive deaths in a year, and there's 4 deaths out of those in a Tesla's going to get more press about it.
They will, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's Tesla's fault. One person does not cause 4 deaths. One software program may have caused 4 deaths.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. It's a volume issue. And I'm sure he was trying to spin it as, from a numbers standpoint, there's more deaths from people driving than from self-driving autonomous cars, but it's a software issue. It comes back to, okay, well, if you are effectively, he's the figurehead, right? So he's responsible. If he's caused 4 deaths through his software, that's more than one drunk driver who caused 3 deaths.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's right or wrong. I think it is what it is, but he's right. He will get more press because it's a software program and not a person. And that software program has 0 margin for error. It is not allowed to make mistakes. And for the most part, people are pretty good. And I truly believe that, here's an example for you. So when I was driving my 54 Chevy daily, I think that made me a better driver because it had manual drum brakes and a manual 3-speed transmission, and it was slow, and it was freaking 5,000 pounds.
And hard to stop.
Hard to stop, hard to accelerate, hard to turn. Steering bus, school bus steering wheel. You had to think ahead, and you had to pay attention to every single thing you're doing. You had to drive every car around you. It made you a better driver.
It's like
I think the passive and the passive and the active safety stuff that we've got going on right now, it may work, but it makes people worse drivers.
Yeah.
It causes distracted drivers.
Yeah.
I don't think at this point it's phones. I think the passive and the active safety things that we have going on create a false sense of security so that people can disengage. And you still have to pay attention. Those things are there, they're working, but you still have to pay attention to driving. But it lulls you into this false sense of security. So I think it's creating lazier drivers.
Yep.
And I think that's also going to create the demand for the autonomous vehicle at the same time.
Yeah, so he talked about that. He talked about so much stuff, and it was that a person is going to be distracted no matter how much you're trying to pay attention. But
sure.
the computer will never be distracted. It's always going to be looking at what's going on. Yeah. He said I don't know. He said a lot of stuff. You'd have to listen to it, and I can't repeat everything he said because he's smarter than me.
He did that too.
Anyway, I don't know. I agree with him that it's probably ultimately safer, but it's not going to be fun.
I'm not sold on it yet. I'm not sold.
Well,
we're getting an autonomous truck at where I work, and I'm pretty interested to see how it works. It's fully autonomous. Basically, it's a crash truck, so if somebody hits it, nobody's in it and gets hurt.
What's it do?
Okay, so no, but I think that's where we've got a much more realistic practical application is in the commercial trucking industry. I don't think there's any reason we shouldn't have fully autonomous trucks right now, because you've got you've got a fixed speed, you've got a fixed destination. Most of the travel is on freeways, and if you've got whatever they use to keep the truck in the lane, you've got active cruise control, there's no reason to have a driver for something like that. If you want to, and I don't think the average person is ready for an autonomous car because we have too much variation in our routes and on the surface streets. But if you're just using the interstates as a map, if you're just using the interstates for commercial trucking, I don't think there's any reason we shouldn't have fully autonomous commercial fleets right now. I know the commercial truckers, the over-the-road truckers, hate that. But I think that's an industry that unfortunately is going to go the way of the ice cutter. It's going to be phased out. It's going to be replaced by technology. And I don't see that as a bad thing. I think there's a lot of industries that are being replaced by technology that aren't a bad thing. Because there's still opportunity in other industries.
Well, this particular truck, it's not quite set up for over the road, but we do some of that testing here in Colorado. This particular unit is going to follow a paint striper at a distance of 100 to 200 yards because our paint stripers get hit all the time. And so this will be basically a sacrificial truck.
Even with all the flashing lights and cones and everything?
Yeah, that attracts. It's like a moths to flame.
Ooh, what's that?
I'm convinced if you have one light on a truck, it's better than having 50 million lights on a truck because they just get dazed and they right into the light. Right into the light. You need like 1 or 2 lights. That's it. No more flashing lights than that.
He wanted me to come and take that job.
Oh, okay.
I wanted him to be the craft.
And now he tells me that they get hit all the time.
They're bringing you a safety truck. You'll be fine.
Oh, good.
Hazard pay, Corey. Hazard pay.
Our particular truck has not gotten hit, but on the front range, a lot of those trucks get hit on the interstate.
I want to go operate the autonomous truck.
I want to. It's awesome.
I'll be the safety driver.
Take a nap.
Okay. Does it have that? Does it have a backup? You've got a person on board?
No. You walk away. You set it up. You hit the button. You get in the other truck and you go.
I think that's why that's gonna be so hard for everybody because that's scary. It
is scary.
The first time I drove a car that had radar cruise control, it slowed down if you got too close to the car in front of you. It freaked me out, and I couldn't do it because I didn't know. Because when that car got faster, my car would accelerate or slow down, hit the brakes by itself.
Yeah,
it's unnerving, right?
Yeah, it's really weird.
The machines are taking over.
I have a tire machine that will supposedly change a tire by itself, and I don't trust it either.
The front door.
Yeah.
Send me a video of that. I want one of those right now. I do the tires at our shop, and it's awful.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's slow, and it needs to be babysat. But it will do it. You set a couple, you mount the wheel. So it's got an arm that comes down, and you mount the wheel on the arm, and then you push the go button, and it'll pull it back up. And you have to set where the valve stem is, and then you hit go, and it'll spin it, and it'll break the bead, it'll separate the bead from the wheel, it'll dismount it, the whole deal, all by itself. All you have to, and it's called Revolution with Walkaway, so you can literally set it, and the point is that you can let it dismount the tire while you go and balance another one.
There you go.
Okay.
Technician could be doing 2 of them at the same time.
Well, that's cool. Kind of cool.
Otherwise, it's slow enough that I can change a tire 2 times as fast as this thing can, but I can't balance a tire. I can't balance a wheel and change a tire at the same time.
Yeah.
That's where it's beneficial.
Is it safer for the wheel? Like, is there less possibility of damage? Because I've damaged some wheels before on accident.
I have to.
Me and wheels do not get along.
No, we've done plenty. I've broken my fair share of TPMS sensors as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like wheels, not sensors. Like whole brand new out of the box wheels.
Yeah.
So we use it for the low profiles and the really big DMT tires. Like I had a customer with an Audi S5 and like 30 series 20-inch wheels, and I'll use it for that so that I don't damage the wheels. So I'm actually trying to build our customer base for that type of tire. I won't go lower than a 30. I won't do these 20 and 25s. That's just ridiculous and unsafe in my personal opinion. But we'll do those, and I let the machine do it because it's not going to damage the wheel. And we'll do it on the big MT tires, the 33, 35, the big ones, so that we're not breaking the technician's back.
I was going to say, notice less injuries, or is that part of using that machine?
I never really had injuries before changing tires, but it is easier. It's less strenuous. You let the machine do the hard part. It still takes its time, as any low profile tire. If you do it the right way, it takes time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's always fun when my BMW customers come by and they're like, "Oh, I've got these 35 series tires. You can just done an hour, right?" They're run flats in a 35 series. No, this is going to be a couple hours worth of work. And it should be an hour. It's not. And if you'd like me to do it, that's what it's going to be. So it works. It doesn't damage the wheels. Whereas if we do, you get the spoon and you do it the normal way, you run the risk of damage to the wheels. I can change a tire as fast as anybody, but when it comes to the the 30 and 35, I'd rather let the machine do it.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then the balancers
hard.
are fun. Yep.
I worked at
it's not worth the time.
At a tire shop out of high school. We did everything from low profiles like that to semis to tractors and combines, and yeah, I've changed some tires. But the best we had is we had a machine that had a second arm that would hold the one side of the tire while you put the spoon on this side, and then that one would hold it down because it would always slip back up over the rim when you got halfway around. Oh man, yeah, that's the best one we had. Had a computer.
You just use ether.
No, I've actually never done that, man. I've heard too many scary stories, and I've seen people do it, and it hasn't worked. I've never seen it work in person. I've seen videos.
We've done it 2 times.
Well, we had the cheetah, that you stick in there, but we also had a big one for big like super singles and tractor tires and stuff. That was a ring, and you set the wheel on the floor, and you put the ring on top of it, and it had a bunch of squirters around it, and it had its own tank. You'd fill up, and then you'd open it at the tank, and it would the whole thing at the same time. So we always had a way to get them aired up. We had a balancer for semi-tires, too. It's a big one. It had a jack. You roll it up on the jack, and you jack it up to the balancer.
You guys ever see the video that went around a couple years ago? The guy doing a flat repair on like a big agricultural tire. He like scooped down a bunch of the rubber and plugged the hole and filled it back in with like liquid. It was crazy.
They're like retreading the tire almost.
Huh?
They were almost retreading the tire, right?
Almost, but he was plugging a hole.
Yeah, it was like huge in this big mine tire.
Yeah. But it was really cool to watch. Like he dug it out and had to fill it all back in with like this. I don't know. It was really cool to watch.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Thinking
it was
myself
rubber,
like,
and then he vulcanized it.
Yeah. It's exactly what it was.
Yep.
And I'm like, we would never do that.
Those are way too many damaged cords.
Oh, we fixed a lot of tires. We fixed a lot of tires we shouldn't have fixed, too. But, oh, man, the tire spreader was the best thing. It had hooks. They would grab it, and then another one that push it up from the bottom so you could work right in there. Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah. I always love having conversations with people when I have to tell them that the tire's not repairable. Well, can't you just put a plug in it? Nope, can't do that. Well, I just need it fixed. So like, well, I'm not going to fix it. So
yeah, we were a small.
I'll put it back in the trunk.
This is small family-owned like farm tire shop. So there was definitely a few that was like, we'll fix it, but we're not giving you a receipt.
Yeah. This is a cash deal and beer.
Like sidewall.
This might get you home, but that's about it.
Yeah.
My favorite is when people come to me with, a plug or, a plug in the sidewall. They got a double plug and they're like, can you fix this? I'm like, I can't repair a repair. Period. Like, I'm not going to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, I had a 1973 Nova in the shop the other day. Tire with a date code on it from 2000.
Wow.
Okay.
This one's done, and it's like flaking apart. I'm like, dude, you need tires. He's like, no, the tread's fine. It's from 2000. You do realize what's in rubber, right? It's dried out, and it's gonna explode.
It's fine, bro.
What year did you work at Terry's? Was that like 2009?
Oh, yeah, 2009. We
it's like
figured that out.
11 years ago. I put those tires on my truck when we worked there, and they're still on there.
Yeah, they're probably day coded out now.
Well, they're getting to the point where if it snows here and I stop at a stoplight, I can't go. So sometimes I just got to be at 4-wheel drive, get her moving. Okay, back to 2-wheel.
So I took over our tire program about a year ago, and I have a tire barn. It's not huge. About like 2 bays big, semi-tires, so they take a lot of room. My biggest tire is a 445, 22.5. It's a big girl. I threw away 15 to 20 sticker tires that were date coded out. It was awesome.
Whoa.
And those are not
what's
cheap
the time frame for you guys?
We do 10 years. DOT is 10 years.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're not allowed to touch anything 10 years old. We won't sell anything 5 years old.
Oh.
Yeah,
Wow.
I can see that. Sure. Selling it, especially. Yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
We do recaps. Well, we did. I phased that out because we were having some issues. I was like, for what we're saving, we're not saving.
Worth it. Not anymore. It's not worth it.
Yeah. So they were like, okay, that makes sense. And I mean, I was throwing tires out that were sticker tires, brand new, 12 years old.
New set of stickers.
Wow.
Rolled them out, put them in the scrap tire pile, and people were like, oh, we should take those. And I'm like, I'm not putting these on anything.
You can't. It's not safe. It's not worth the risk.
It's not legal. Not only is it not safe, it's not legal.
Well,
I'm not putting my name on that.
At least you didn't put the wrong tires on the wrong side of the car.
Shut up, Martin Truex.
What the hell was that even? Was that?
They were, I don't know, stupid.
Oh no, that was that. That was Homestead. That was Homestead last year. No, they came in for a pit. The old Furniture Road driver, or it drives for Joe Gibbs now, and they came into pit at the championship race. They put the tires on the wrong sides of the car.
So race cars from Stagger, you know Stagger tires, right?
Yeah.
Well, they put the bigger outside right side tires on the inside and the smaller left side tires on the outside. So the car wouldn't turn left; it would turn right, going down the straightaway.
Oh no!
So he went around. He still finished like second, didn't he? Yeah,
he did.
Oh my god,
that's impressive.
He went like 2 laps down because of that, and then came back to finish second.
Yeah, it was bad.
I'll tell you what, man. I had a service manager meeting at Penske Racing, and they gave us a tour of the shop. That was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how inside the whole floor inside the shop, inside the whole building, is all tile. It's not poured concrete or anything like that. It's tile. And they said it was because over the course of the life of the shop, they said it was cheaper to replace individual tiles than it was to repair cracks in the concrete or cut out a section and have to repair it that way. But they said when they were building it, they shut down this tile factory in Italy for like 6 weeks getting all the tiles made.
Yeah. So when I was out there, the first time I went out there, which would have been November 2017. No, 2018. November 2018, I had an interview at Penske. And then when I came out again, when I talked to you, I had my second interview at Penske. And then I didn't get the job. Well, I didn't not get the job. They never had an opening.
Yeah.
So I had 2 interviews with them. I had, that one with Joe Gibbs, and that's about all I got. Yeah. Which would have been cool because we got the championship with Furniture Row that year. And then Penske won it the next year.
Well, Martin won second 2 years in a row.
Yeah, 2018 and 19.
Yep.
Yeah.
He won the championship, and now the following 2 years he's gotten second. So now for the next 3 years he needs to get third.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I had basic cable because it made my internet cheaper, so I could watch the regular Fox and NBC on that. But I had to log into someone else if it was on their sports channel. So I don't have those regular channels anymore, so I can't watch. I can't even watch Daytona unless I find it somewhere. But
it's on Fox. It's on normal television.
I don't have Fox.
You don't have an antenna?
We're not cool like you, Brian.
I don't have an antenna.
I have an antenna. I'm not that cool.
How do you get an antenna?
I've seen the pictures of your man cave.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I do have a man cave and a half. I do. I have a 100-inch projection TV.
I want to watch. I want to come over.
Come over.
I am impressed.
Well, don't be too impressed because there was a poop fountain in my basement to make that happen.
Poop fountain.
Yeah, not worth it. Still not worth it. Badass TV, still not worth it.
I'm watching this on a 55. That's my computer monitor.
Not worth it. Not worth it.
I'm watching on my Samsung Galaxy A50. There you go. There, yeah, that was about it. That was about it, Corey.
Oh yeah, man.
I have to plug it in because it will die if I do not. Doesn't matter how much battery I start with.
On your what?
Well,
your phone.
Thanks to Wyotech and some poor life choices.
Not a sponsor.
I am I'm renting a 1,300 square foot house with me, my wife, my 2 girls, and my 2 100-pound dogs.
Nice.
We are on top of each other. So, hooray! My
house is 1,300 on the main floor, and then there's the TV room on the basement. So it's not like, I don't know. I guess from
another
the outside,
1,300 square feet.
What's that?
You have a 1,300 square foot TV room.
No, it's 400. It's 20 by 20.
Come on.
It's 20 by 20. I did the math. It was a big empty room. It needed a big ass TV, and it was cheaper than buying a new flat panel. That was $1,000 for that whole TV. Was $1,000.
Here, watch this. This is my whole house, and you're back to me. That's it. Okay, we're done.
It's a very nice house.
Oh man,
what'd you do?
Party foul.
Did you spill your beer?
I ran out of beer.
Chug. I
ran out of beer. I would have had to go.
On the printer.
I got it on the printer.
What'd you do? So the only reason I have a house now is I bought a really cheap house in Denver, and then the Denver market took off, and I made a little bit of money by pure dumb luck, not by any skill or plan or choice, or pure dumb luck.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I have a house in La Plata County. And my house...
You sold to a Californian?
No, I sold to Mexicans.
Why is it always that? Every time I sell something, it's like that too.
They literally... We had problems at closing because they wired the money from Mexico, and they couldn't prove it was legal money, like legally obtained money.
Yep.
So yeah.
Doesn't it have to be an escrow for a certain amount of time?
There's many rules that we circumvented, and we had to fix. I didn't. They did. So anyway, they bought my house, and now I live in the Four Corners, but I could either buy this house a half an hour outside of town, which is a nice little ranch on an acre, or I could have bought a condo, not even a townhouse, in town for the same amount and add less than 1,000 square feet.
I don't like that.
So I drive every day 30 minutes to town, 30 minutes to anything, to the grocery store, to a Walmart, to fast food, to my job.
Man, no, shut up. I lived in Orlando. It was 30 minutes to your damn mailbox.
Yeah, that's traffic. That doesn't count.
It's 30 minutes from my door to my car.
Yeah,
Chicago, I had a 20-mile drive to work, and it took at least an hour each way.
That's how it is here. I got 16 miles to work, and it's 40 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic or snow or rain or even clouds. If there's clouds, people... Dude, I was just telling Laura today, because I almost killed this lady who I was coming up to turn a stoplight to turn right. The other lanes were stopped, but they left a gap for people coming through to go. So I'm coming up to the stoplight, and I'm not going that fast because I'm stopping. And this lady goes through all these lanes and comes right out in front of me.
Oh my God, you would have murdered her.
But she was like kind of in the lane next to me, And so I was slowing down because I thought she was going to go right in front of me. So I hit the brakes a little bit. And I'm like, oh, okay, she's going to go back into this lane. Well, then right when I started to let off the brakes, she comes right in front of me, and I locked him up, and I swerved, and I don't know how I didn't hit the curb. Cars behind me were like backing off because they saw it all.
You were in the Dodge. The curb moved out of the way.
No, I would have.
Nope, we're out.
She would have died if I would.
Yeah. Yeah. I had that happen in my Chevy. I was driving one day in this down a boulevard. I'm going like 50 miles an hour, and this lady in this minivan. Florida has the worst drivers. Period. There are no
Denver?
worst drivers.
New Mexico?
No, I promise you, Florida is the worst. So this lady pulls in front of me, and then stops in the middle of it's 2 lanes going this direction, and she just stops. In a minivan. I'm like, I can't stop. I'm gonna split your van in 2.
And I'm going through my windshield.
Yeah, this is not gonna end well for anybody. And fortunately, she moved at the end. But like one of my favorite things about the Chevy was a previous owner. My car came from Denver, but a previous owner had changed it over to 12 volt. And if you know anything about 54 was the last year Chevy had 6 volt. So they didn't convert everything. So they had 12 volts running through the horns that were 6 volt horns.
Yeah.
I don't have a horn anymore. I have a steering wheel, like a O'Reilly steering wheel on there because the other one broke off.
Nobody cares. We're talking about super loud.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
Phenomenal. And anytime I had to get anybody to move, I'd just tap the horn. And everybody would move. It was amazing. And they both worked perfectly. And it was probably the coolest thing in my car.
That's awesome.
Just sit in the parking lot and because it was the cool, the 50 steering wheels were enormous, and they had the horn rings that were nice and chrome and huge. Yeah. And I just sit there and just
put your hand in the middle. It has the bar.
You just squeeze the horn ring, and everybody. I love it. It was probably the coolest thing about owning that car.
Oh hell yeah!
Yep.
All
People would move.
Corey. It's been 3 hours. Okay, I'm not gonna make it much longer. I think we need to have Jenkins back on and talk more. But I'm crashing hard, and it's been 3 hours, and I need to go to sleep.
Shit.
I also think that this one, it'd probably be better if I made 2 out of it. So they could get us a week cushion or something, so that if we ever have another problem, then we're like 1 behind. So
I just keep looking at myself, and these keep getting bigger and darker and lower.
Well, I kind of got
to. I feel like I've had the stone face the entire night.
The what?
The stone, like.
Dude.
Oh, you got your glasses on. You're fine. You're good.
Well, I gotta pee, but I keep looking at my
60 hours a week.
I keep looking at my timer, and I'm like, we should probably end it pretty soon. Like if I get up now, I can wait a little bit. So
I'm just not gonna make it, and I'm gonna get less and less coherent very quickly, and I'm not even drinking. So,
do you guys have to work tomorrow?
No, I have to drive to Silverton though.
Oh. I gotta go try to get a $10,000 loan for the engine for my stupid car.
I have to be at work at 6.
Oh my shit! God. Are you kidding?
Is it midnight there?
Yeah, 5 minutes till.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, he needs to go to bed because there's gonna be some people there.
All right, we'll get you on here again because I feel like we got more to talk about.
Oh yeah,
plenty.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess until then, I'll just have to say good luck with that.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that. You sleeping tonight.
Yeah. Good luck with going to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I just got to take the kid to soccer at like 9:00.
I've had
Okay,
a long
I'm
week.
going to bed.
Not as long as him.
All right.
I can't get the.
Did he hang up on us?
He hung up on us. All right. Well, if you're watching this now, thanks for coming to hang out with us. Man, I didn't know that we'd be able to just like go on for that long, just kind of naturally.
We have more stories. Yeah. Jenkins is a good dude. I like him.
So, yeah, it's getting late. It's 10 o'clock, and I got games to play. So,
and I got eyeballs to watch the back of my eyelids with.
Yeah, so we'll get a hold of him again, and we'll have him on. I don't know if we want to do it next time or if it matters, if anybody cares.
Whenever he's available, because he's pretty busy. He's a busy boy. He's working hard out there, raising a family, taking care of everybody, taking care of some doggos.
Yeah, he's the one that has to work in the morning, so I guess we'll let him choose what he wants to do. So
yeah.
So thanks for coming to hang out with us today. We really do appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that.